Hello, everyone. Let me tell you a story about a man they called the Wise Man of Wall Street. His name was Jack, a fund manager who once read every storm, building a vast fortune. But now, all that lies before him are the numbers on his monitor, glowing as red as a raging fire. His kingdom crumbled overnight. What happened? It was supposed to be the same as always. The threat comes, the market panics, and then someone always backs down from the game of chicken. Yes, Trump always chickens out. That's why panic was a buy. So why? The cause was a single paper published by a Chinese AI startup no one was watching, DeepSeek. In that instant, the stock prices of global AI-related companies plummeted. Jack's fund was swallowed by a worldwide market crash that wiped out over $1 trillion overnight. As furious calls from clients echoed through the office, all Jack could do was stand there, stunned. The wise man was dead. At the edge of his career's cliff, a young analyst, Emily, walks into Jack's office. "Jack, are you still dreaming of taco?" Taco. It was the very formula for Jack's success. The U.S.-China trade war that began in 2018, when President Trump brandished aggressive tariffs, the market would dive. But Jack knew, as soon as the market screamed, concerns over the holiday shopping season would lead to tariffs being delayed or reduced. Each time, the market would rally, and Jack, who bought the dip, would reap enormous profits. It was a pattern. Geopolitical risk was the ultimate buying opportunity. It was. Jack, look at this. On the monitor Emily showed him, a strange graph was displayed. It was a supply chart for a special kind of mineral, rare earths. Over 90% of the world's refined supply is controlled by a single country. China has started to use this as a weapon. This isn't a game of chicken like with President Trump. This is a quieter, more deliberate checkmate. Don't be ridiculous. Think about economic rationality. If they halt the supply, they hurt themselves too. Is that really true? What if their goal isn't short-term profit? Emily shows him another piece of data. It's a report on the Chinese semiconductor manufacturer SMIC. The U.S. had banned the export of cutting-edge EUV equipment, supposedly crippling China's semiconductor ambitions. But by using a method that ignored profitability, using older equipment over and over, they managed to mass-produce 7-nanometer advanced chips. This was despite manufacturing costs being 40 to 50% higher than their Taiwanese competitors. Let's shift our perspective for a moment. A clean room in SMIC, Shanghai, China. There, a young engineer, Lin Wei, was working around the clock to complete the Kirin 9000S chip. Lin Wei's monologue. Cost? Yield rates? Those are secondary. Our goal isn't profit. It's to prove our nation's technological autonomy, to break free from America's control with our own hands. This chip is our Declaration of Independence. Back in Jack's office, Emily. Jack, they're not making it for profit. They're making it for national pride and security. The economic rationality we know doesn't apply in their world. Nonsense. Jack dismisses Emily's words. The memories of his countless successes were seared into his mind. Then what about this? The final piece of data Emily showed was the astronomical growth of Chinese e-commerce apps like Temu and Shein. Despite Western governments pointing out data security and human rights issues, consumers paid no mind, bowing before the destructively low prices. Emily, consumers prioritize their wallets over geopolitics. This consumer indifference is the most powerful geopolitical force China has acquired. Jack, they're already whispering it on Wall Street. The era of taco is over. From now on, it's the era of XINA. XINA. She is never afraid. Jack scoffs at the words. Don't underestimate the market. No dictator can win against a stock market crash. But Jack didn't realize it yet. The three pieces of information he had ignored, the weapon of rare earths, the national will shown by SMIC, and the consumer indifference proven by Kimu, when these three pieces came together, his world would truly come to an end. And then the fateful day arrives at the end of 2025. The Chinese government announces its Made in China 2035 plan. It positions semiconductors and AI as the nation's most critical infrastructure, making no attempt to hide its ambition for technological hegemony. The market, still, dismissed it as mere slogans. So did Jack. But immediately after, the real shockwave hits. Citing national security, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce announces the implementation of a full-scale export licensing system for several rare earth products, including high-performance magnets. This wasn't just another round of tariffs. It was an act of physically seizing the Western defense and EV industry's supply chains by the throat. The market descends into true panic. The stock prices of EV makers and defense contractors, the core of Jack's portfolio, go into a freefall. Faced with the real fear of production lines grinding to a halt, monetary easing meant nothing. Jack's fund is hit by a wave of redemptions, pushing it to the brink of collapse. Why? Why won't anyone back down? Why are they ignoring the market's pain? What do they gain from this? As Jack despairs, Emily gently taps his shoulder. Jack, don't you see it yet? Their objective function is no longer GDP. It's the maximization of geopolitical influence. Emily lays out the three pieces of data Jack had previously ignored. Look, these three events, which seemed unrelated, are all connected. SMIC's 7-nanometer chip, made at a loss, wasn't for profit. It was a national declaration that they could neutralize U.S. sanctions. Timu's success is proof that Western values and government concerns are powerless against the massive wave of consumers. And these rare earths are the ultimate weapon to make their will a reality. They are not afraid to accept short-term economic pain to achieve long-term national goals. That is the true meaning of XINA. She is never afraid. In that moment, something inside Jack shatters. The thick wall of his past successes crumbled away. He was wrong. The very rules of the market had changed. The wise man died completely, and from the ashes he was reborn as an investor. Tell me, Emily, what is it that we are fighting now? Jack and Emily began to rebuild their portfolio from scratch. The first thing they did was to discard the lens of economic rationality that had underpinned all their previous investment decisions. They started incorporating geopolitical risk as not a buying opportunity, but as a baseline scenario that threatened business continuity. They analyzed supply chains, searching for companies with low dependence on China or, conversely, those that would benefit from China's technological nationalism. It was no longer a simple game of winning or losing. It was about how to maintain balance and survive on the two massive, shifting tectonic plates of the US and China. It was a whole new game. Our world is the same. The era of taco is over, and the market has entered a new, unpredictable, and more fiercely competitive paradigm called XINA. The old formulas for success no longer apply. Like Jack in this story, we must kill our old selves, face the new reality, learn and adapt. That is the only way to survive in this uncertain age. Thank you for listening.